check out our streaming schedule for this week. We've got tons of content in terms of the NFL and college football, as we're going live just about every single day this week. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single moment where we go live. And now, on with our feature presentation.
So, what the heck just happened? Seriously, what the heck just happened? In Thursday night's game between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers, the Chargers won 34-27, but trailed 21-10 near the end of the first half after Justin Herbert threw a bad interception with the team driving and the Charger defense being unable to stop a nosebleed. And then, all the momentum turned on this wild sequence of events. The Broncos are forced to punt the ball away after going 3 and out, which, by the way, they completely mismanaged the clock situation there. Either try and score points or don't. But the fact that they called a first down play, let tons of time come off the clock, but not all the time come off the clock, made it seem like they were in a conundrum with what to do. And instead of picking one option, they picked the worst possible option by trying to combine things. When the Broncos punt as a result of that, the Chargers call for a fair catch. However, Darius Davis gets run into by a Bronco player, which is kick-catch interference, constituting a 15-yard penalty. And even though the clock is at 0 seconds, because of this penalty, since the half can't end on a penalty committed by the defense or the kicking team, the Chargers have a chance for another down. And on said untimed down, they line up for this play right here, a fair catch kick. Per Rule 10, Section 2, Article 5 of the NFL Rulebook, this is 100% allowed. It is a super rare situation, but it is absolutely allowed. The rule states that if time expires during a play in which a player has signaled for a fair catch, if the kicking team interferes with the receiver who has signaled for a fair catch, the receiving team will have the option to extend the period by attempting a fair catch kick or by a snap from scrimmage after enforcement of any applicable penalties. In other words, after a fair catch, you can kick the ball with a holder, and if it goes in, it counts as 3 points, just like a regular field goal. This rule is extremely obscure. Since the NFL-AFL merger in 1970, prior to Thursday night's game, this had been done 12 times, and had been attempted a grand total of 5 times in the past 40 years. For some perspective, in the last 40 years, we had seen more Patriots Super Bowl wins than we had seen fair catch kick attempts. And the last successful make was Ray Wersching with the San Diego Chargers, oddly enough, who hit from 45 yards out at the end of the first half in a 1976 game against the Buffalo Bills, which was so long ago that we hadn't even seen a Super Bowl played at night yet or in a dome yet. But from 57 yards out, the Chargers decided to try it here with Cameron Dicker, and it was good. For the first time in nearly half a century, a team got 3 points off of a fair catch kick. And I think a lot of people were saying and wondering the same thing. Wait, that's a rule? That's a thing that's allowed? You can do that? And I can't exactly blame people for thinking that, seeing as it's a play that hadn't been successfully executed since 1976, and had only been attempted 5 times since the start of the 1985 season. Because the crazy part is that there are coaches that don't even know that this rule exists. Like I said, it had only been attempted 5 times before Thursday night in the last 40 years. But it should have been 6. And it would have been 6 if the Dallas Cowboys knew the rules of the sport that they were playing. Because during week 2 of the 1999 NFL season, in a game between the Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football, coincidentally, with Al Michaels also on the call, the Cowboys had a chance for a fair catch kick, and completely and utterly bungled it, leaving people perplexed as to what just happened. Because in light of literally the longest, and therefore the best fair catch kick in NFL history, this is the story behind the absolute worst of the worst. This is the story behind the worst fair catch kick in NFL history. Before I talk about the actual incident in question, we need some context to understand how the game itself was going. It's September 21st, 1999. It's week 2 of the NFL season, and we head down to Texas for this NFC battle between the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys under the lights on Monday Night Football. Both the Falcons and Cowboys are coming off of division titles the previous year, with the Falcons even making it to their first Super Bowl in franchise history at Super Bowl 33, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. However, both of these teams enter this game going in opposite directions, with the Cowboys coming off of a thrilling 41-35 overtime victory against Washington in Week 1, and with Atlanta losing 17-14 in a rematch of the NFC Championship to Minnesota. If the Cowboys win this game, then they position themselves pretty nicely to make it to the playoffs just 2 games in, seeing as in the last 3 years, only one NFC team to start 2-0 did not make the playoffs. Conversely, if the Falcons lose this game, then they're behind the 8 ball early on, and their road to making it back to the Super Bowl will be an uphill climb, seeing as in the last 3 years, only one NFC team to start 0-2 ended up making the playoffs. Under the lights in front of a national television audience on ABC, this was a big one. And so far, things were going really well for the Cowboys. The Dallas defense was playing lights out, as on Atlanta's 7 drives during the first half, only once did the Falcons have any scoring opportunity, when they missed a field goal. The rest of the half was 5 punts and an interception on the very first drive of the contest, as by the time the first half ended, the Falcons had just 130 yards of total offense. Meanwhile, the Cowboys led it 10-0 after having a few nice drives of their own, including one that culminated in a 2-yard touchdown run by one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, in Emmitt Smith, who you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. Now, at the end of the first half, the Cowboys got another defensive stop, when on 3rd and 6, the Falcons were only able to pick up 5 yards before taking the clock down to 5 seconds. This brings up 4th and 1, and at this point, if you're the Falcons, you have 2 realistic options. Option 1, try one of those Hail Mary plays where everyone runs deep, the quarterback rolls out and chucks it as far as he can down the field, which in this case would be Tony Graziani, and the clock expires, meaning that you don't punt it back to the Cowboys. Or option 2, punt the ball away. However, this option poses a few risks. Not only do you risk the obvious of a snap going over the punter's head or a block or something along those lines, but if this is not a good punt, you risk the possibility of a fair catch kick. Remember, if the clock hits triple zeros, but the return man calls for a fair catch, you get an untimed down if you wish to kick the ball. And seeing as you're punting it from the 17-yard line, any punt that's less than 40 yards will give you a chance to attempt this play. Sure enough, the punt only travels 30 yards, meaning that the Cowboys have the ball at the 47-yard line following the fair catch by Wayne McGarity. Alright, this is the opportunity. This is a golden opportunity for a fair catch kick from 57 yards out. And the Cowboys had a kickoff specialist on their team with a pretty strong leg, a punter by the name of Toby Goen. I mean, the last name alone is perfect for a kicker. Go in, as in, please have this kick go in and go through the uprights. He was pretty good at getting touchbacks and booting him into the back of the end zone or out of the back of the end zone, as you can tell from these highlights. I'm not saying a 57-yard field goal is easy, especially for a guy who isn't usually a kicker, and especially back in 1999. But seeing as this is a glorified kickoff, you've got the ability to reach. And the crazy part is that head coach Chan Gailey was fully cognizant of this fact. He coached special teams for a bit. He knew the rules. He was prepared to have this man that he'd been watching booted into the end zone, Toby Goen, try the fair catch kick. As Gailey said, I'm always cognizant of being able to do the fair catch kick because I've always wanted to do it. We lined Wayne McGarity up on the 50 and said, if you go behind the 50, let it go. If you can catch it there or in front of the 50, fair catch it so we can have the free kick. In other words, even though this was a bizarre rule, Gailey understood the assignment. He knew this part of the rule that he had a chance to attempt this play. So with that being said, we know that Chan Gailey knows the rule. We know that this man right here, Toby Goen, has the leg to try this. We know that this is absolutely possible. And we know that the Cowboys have a chance to extend their lead and go 13-0 on one of the rarest plays in the NFL. We know that right now, this man is going to be sent onto the field with a chance at history. And with all of that in mind, I present to you the moment of truth. This is the worst fair catch kick in NFL history.
period, if they would like, according to the rules, can be extended for a free kick. And I'm not sure
But they know that.
either coach knows about it. But it's in the book that the period can be extended after a fair catch.
This is the first I've heard of that too. I'm going to give you. You're a coach, Al.
Well, in the meantime, the teams are leaving the field. The Cowboys are leading at the half 10-0. The Toyota halftime show coming up. We're back after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations.
Yep, that's right. The Cowboys never attempted the kick. They just went into the halftime break, and no one knew why. Because as it turns out, even though this man right here, head coach Chan Gailey, understood part of the rule, he didn't understand the whole rule. He knew part, but not whole. He knew that if you fair caught the ball, that you could kick it right away. However, he didn't know that if you fair caught the ball and the clock was at zeros, that you could still kick it and get an untimed down. It's the responsibility of the coach or the player to ask for the fair catch kick. And seeing as Gailey didn't ask for it, because he assumed that he couldn't do it because the clock was at zeros, the half was over. Both teams went into the locker room. The Cowboys led it 10-0, and the announcers were understandably perplexed as to why the Cowboys weren't trying a risk-free way to get 3 more points. Fortunately for them, this decision didn't matter at the end of the day, seeing as the Cowboys still won the game by a final score of 24-7 to improve to 2-0 and drop the defending NFC champion to 0-2. But still, this was a golden opportunity to score in a way that you never see, and a golden opportunity to get some points. And Gailey and the Cowboys blew it by not even attempting it.
The rule is very simple. There it is. If a fair catch is signaled and made, which it was, receivers may choose to extend the period with 1 fair catch kick. That meant Cunningham could have attempted a 57-yard field goal without a rush. So he could have run up to the ball as if it was a kickoff and kicked it through the uprights. The only downside is it could be returned if the kick was short, but it's either a case of the Cowboys not knowing the rule or simply electing not to take the chance. In any event, what went by the boards was the opportunity for Cunningham to kick an uncontested, in terms of the defense rushing it, field goal.
And after the game, when Chan Gailey was asked about the decision to not take the fair catch kick and to not try getting 3 points, he said, quite bluntly, that he didn't know about the rule. He screwed up. Said Gailey, I had a chance and I missed it. I forgot you could ask for the free kick after the clock had run out. I should know that. That's my responsibility. At least Gailey took the blame for it. On one hand, yes, it is absolutely the coach's responsibility to know the rules and know how to properly exploit them and use them to his advantage. You don't want a coach who doesn't know the rules of his own game. On the other hand, seeing as this play hadn't even been attempted in 15 years, and seeing as there was no time left on the clock, expecting Gailey to know all the intricacies of this rule is a lot. It's almost like a citizen trying to follow the law. Yes, ignorance of the law is not an excuse for breaking the law. But if you get arrested one day because you live in Louisiana and you're snoring, and you're breaking the law because you're not allowed to snore in Louisiana unless your bedroom windows are securely locked, and yes, that is a real rule, you can look it up, can I really blame you for not knowing that this was an actual law? Not really. It's just bizarre because Chan Gailey knew of the rule and even had a plan to execute said rule, even telling his punt returner as much. And when it came time to actually execute said rule, he choked and forgot what he was doing. He planned for the fair catch kick, he just forgot to do the fair catch kick. And that's really the most important part of the fair catch kick, the doing. Anyone can just plan for a fair catch kick. Look, I don't know if we're ever going to see another successful fair catch kick ever again. This was a once-in-a-blue-moon event. It requires the perfect set of circumstances and requires a super accurate kicker. There is a reason that we hadn't seen this in nearly half a century before Thursday night if you're watching as of this video getting released. Heck, I would show you the last time a fair catch kick was successful, but there is, to my knowledge, and I dug high and low, no surviving footage of it. But considering the fact that millions of people watched this game and it was nationally televised, And considering the fact that any information we want is available at the click of a button and with just a few keystrokes, there are no more excuses anymore for not knowing about this rule. And that means we probably won't see a situation like what happened with this man right here that you've been watching this whole time in Chan Gailey ever again, where the man just forgets to take advantage of a chance to score points. The goal of the game is to score more points than your opponent. And if you bypass a risk-free chance to get points because you forgot that you could do it, then that's really stupid. Because on this day in 1999, Chan Gailey's loss was the Falcons' gain.
Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And check out my other channels, JG8 for the history of college football, JG7 for the history of baseball, and JG9 News, where we talk about all things happening in the NFL. Join me every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll play live NFL trivia for cash prizes. And make sure to join me live, as we're on stream just about every single day. And thanks to all our Patreon members and our YouTube members for helping out the channel. See how you become a member and show your support financially in the description down below.